The bedroom door swung open with a violent crash that echoed through the small house in Lagos. Chike stood frozen in the doorway, his military uniform still dusty from the long journey home, his left arm wrapped in bloodied bandages. The crutch under his right arm clattered to the floor. There, in the bed he had dreamed about for 18 months while fighting in the conflict zones up north, was his wife Amara. But she wasn't alone. Tangled in their wedding sheets was their neighbor, Mr. Peterson, the white expatriate who had moved in next door just before Chike's deployment. Time seemed to stop. Amara's scream pierced the air. Peterson scrambled for his clothes, his face pale with terror. But Chike didn't move. He didn't shout. He didn't raise his fist. Instead, something cold and calculated settled over his features, a look that had been forged in the heat of battle, a look that promised something far worse than immediate violence. "Chike, I can explain," Amara began, pulling the sheets to her chest. He held up his good hand, silencing her. His eyes moved slowly from his wife to Peterson, who was now backing toward the window. Then Chike did something neither of them expected. He smiled. Not a smile of forgiveness or understanding, but a smile that made Amara's blood run cold. "Get out," Chike said quietly to Peterson. "Both of you, get out of my house." "Chike, please," Amara reached for him. "I said get out." His voice thundered through the room now, and they both scrambled. Peterson practically threw himself out the window, and Amara grabbed a wrapper, running past her husband without daring to look at his face. As their footsteps faded into the dusty street outside, Chike stood alone in the bedroom. He picked up his crutch and slowly lowered himself onto the bed that still smelled of betrayal. But he wasn't crying. He wasn't breaking down. He was planning. 3 days before that devastating moment, Chike had been lying in a military hospital bed in Maiduguri, staring at the ceiling fan spinning slowly above him. The explosion that had torn through his unit had killed 3 of his brothers in arms and left him with a shattered arm and damaged leg. But he was alive, and more importantly, he was going home. "You're a lucky man, Lieutenant Okonkwo," the doctor had said, reviewing his discharge papers. "Another few inches, and that shrapnel would have hit your heart. Someone up there must love you." Lucky. Chike had held on to that word during the painful journey back to Lagos. Lucky to be alive. Lucky to return to his wife. Lucky to rebuild his life. He had tried calling Amara from every checkpoint, but the networks were terrible, and her phone kept going to voicemail. He told himself she was probably at the market or visiting her mother. He pushed away the small voice in his head that whispered about the change in her letters over the past 6 months. Shorter, less warm, filled with excuses about why she couldn't visit him at the base. When he finally arrived in their neighborhood in the Surulere district, it was early evening. Children were playing football in the street, and the familiar smell of jollof rice and fried plantains wafted from nearby houses. Everything looked the same, peaceful and ordinary. Old Mama Ngozi, who sold fruits at the corner, had been the first to see him. Her eyes went wide with shock and joy.
"Chike.
You have returned. God is wonderful." She rushed to embrace him, careful of his injuries. But then her expression changed, and she glanced nervously toward his house. "Chike, my son, I need to tell you something." "Not now, Mama," he had said, smiling. "Let me surprise my wife first. I want to see her face when I walk through that door." Mama Ngozi had opened her mouth to speak again, then closed it. She squeezed his... The next morning, Chike woke early and began making phone calls. His first was to his commander, Colonel Adeyemi, a man who owed him several favors after Chike had saved his life during an ambush. "Colonel, sir, I need information on someone. A white expatriate named David Peterson, working here in Lagos." Within 2 hours, Chike had a full dossier. Peterson worked for an international oil company, married with 2 children back in Houston, Texas. He was in Nigeria on a 3-year contract, living lavishly on expatriate pay while his family remained in America. The man was a professional liar, and Amara had been just another conquest. Chike's second call was to his cousin Emeka, who worked as a private investigator. "I need surveillance footage, photographs, dates, times, everything." "Chike, my brother, are you sure you want to go down this path?" Emeka asked carefully. I've never been more sure of anything in my life. By afternoon, Chike had transformed. He shaved, put on his dress military uniform with all his medals gleaming in the sunlight, and waited. He knew they would come back. Amara had nowhere else to go. Her family lived 3 states away, and her pride wouldn't let her run home to explain how she had destroyed her marriage. Sure enough, as evening approached, Amara appeared at the door, her eyes red from crying. "Chike, please, can we talk?" He opened the door wider, his face unreadable. "Come in." She entered hesitantly, wringing her hands. "I know what I did was unforgivable. I was lonely, and David, Mr. Peterson, he was kind to me when you were gone. It just happened, I swear. It meant nothing." Nothing. Chike's voice was steady, almost gentle. 18 months, Amara. How long? She couldn't meet his eyes. 6 months, she whispered. 6 months. Half of his deployment. While he was dodging bullets and watching friends die, she had been in their bed with another man. "I want a divorce," he said simply. Amara's head snapped up. "Chike, no. Please, we can fix this. I'll do anything. I'll beg your forgiveness every day for the rest of my life. You see, Amara, I believe in justice, not just revenge." Chike continued calmly as his wife stared at the photographs with growing horror. "These copies are going to 3 places. First, to Peterson's wife in Houston. I spoke with her this morning. Lovely woman named Sarah. She had no idea her husband was living a double life here. She's filing for divorce and taking everything, including his children." Amara's face went pale. "Chike, you didn't." "Second," he continued, "these are going to his company's human resources department. Turns out they have a strict morality clause in their expatriate contracts. Something about maintaining the company's reputation abroad. Peterson's being terminated and deported. No severance, no benefits, no reference letter. Third," Chike pulled out another envelope, this one thicker. "I'm donating the compensation from my military injury settlement, 3 million naira, to build a new community health clinic in this neighborhood. It will be named after my mother. The entire community will know that while some people were destroying their families, others were building something lasting." Amara collapsed into a chair, sobbing. "You've destroyed him. You've destroyed everything."
"No, Amara.
You both destroyed yourselves. I'm simply making sure the truth is known." He moved toward the door, picking up a packed bag. "I'm moving in with my brother until the divorce is final. The house is yours. It's in both our names, so you'll have to buy me out or sell it. Either way, I'm done." "Where will you go? What will you do?" she asked desperately. "I'm returning to service. Light duty until my arm heals fully. Turns out the Army values loyalty." He paused at the doorway, looking back at the woman he had once loved more than life itself. "You know what the sweetest part of my revenge is, Amara? I didn't have to destroy you. I simply let the truth do it for me. And I walk away from this with my honor intact." As Chike stepped into the evening air, Mama Ngozi was waiting outside with a plate of food. "My son, I am proud of you. You have shown wisdom beyond your years." "Thank you, Mama." He took the food gratefully. Down the street, children were playing, music was floating from open windows, and life continued as it always had. Chike had learned in war that the best revenge wasn't destruction, it was building something better from the ashes. He had his dignity, his honor, and his future. That was sweeter than any revenge could ever be. 3 months later, at the grand opening of the Okonkwo Community Health Clinic, Chike stood in his uniform, his arm now healed, surrounded by neighbors who cheered his name. He had turned his pain into purpose, his betrayal into blessing. And that, he thought, smiling at the children running through the clinic doors, was the sweetest revenge of all. "Now, before we end, I want to hear from you. What would you have done in Chike's situation? Would you have chosen revenge, forgiveness, or something else entirely? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. I read every single one. And if you enjoyed this story, please hit that like button, subscribe to the channel for more incredible African folktales with a modern twist, and share this video with your friends and family. Your support means everything and helps us bring you more amazing stories like this one. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next story. Retry Claude can make mistakes. Please double-check responses.